like you really say, I may not see, but I know it's working out for me. Now, if anybody can give you any positive feedback, just tell them again and make it matter and say, it's getting ready to happen. Find somebody behind you screaming like you got an attitude problem. Tell them it's getting ready. I'm so glad to be here. If you don't know it, it's Palm Sunday. If you missed us this morning and y'all were here and y'all were at the 11 o'clock service, get out your seat and just make sure everybody got their palms today. Just, I want to make it very clear that if you didn't get any flowers, you're not leaving this afternoon without a testimony. You're going to see my hands lifted, you're going to get your palms, and you're going to see what a miracle really looks like. Now shake that hand. Tell them I want to make sure that you get your palms today. Blessed be the God my strength that teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight. You holding on to the hand of a fighter. Fighters. We thank God for Apostle Ballard. North-South locations and everyone who's hanging out with us all day long. I just love them. I can say 50 billion thousand things, but I'm not really great with introductions. I just like to jump right in, so I'll be quick. Apostle DD. Listen, that's my DC girl. That's DC in the house. DC? Mother Hyman, we thank you. India, like, wow. I'm so glad we've been friends down through the years, all down through the years. A lot of times you have relationships with people and folks just don't even know who you know, how you know them. And I'm glad to know her. I'm glad to know your family. I love them. And Prophet Foster, let's thank God for him. Listen, I'm grateful. We did Jonah this afternoon. I want to look at Jeremiah, if that's okay. I want to look at Jeremiah. I'm going to look at Jeremiah. And if it's okay, I'll look at chapter 1 of Jeremiah. I'm going to look at verse 6. I play it, I like it quiet. Then we're going to work all the way through, and then you guys can come back in and hit us hard. So take a break, and we're going to go for it. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Then said I, O Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But the Lord said unto me, Say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. You don't be afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and destroy, and to throw down, to build, and to plant. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? Because I know you can hear, but I want to see your eyes work. Yeah. And he said, I see a rod of an almond tree. And the Lord said unto me, Thou hast well seen. So not only I want to know, can you see? But now I need to confirm that what you saw was actually right. Okay. Some people see and don't realize that how they may have interpreted it may not be right. So he said to him, Then said the Lord unto me, Thou hast well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. Interesting prophet of the Old Testament. And there's an interesting word that kind of sets the pace for the direction that I was given to share with you. And you'll look at that in verse 5 when he said, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Yeah. Now there's a very interesting conversation, an interesting tone pulled from verse 5. And that is that he has to now, in calling an individual, express to him that with me calling you, there's a whole entire conversation that happened concerning you that you weren't even a part of. And we see in the verse when he talks to him about how this conversation or this knowledge, this new here, takes place before formation. So he's really speaking to him about before he was formed in the belly. Before you were in your mother's belly, you were in your father's testicles. So what he was saying to him is, I didn't wait until you got in your mother, because that's where the child begins to form. It's where you get your ears and your eyes and your voice and your hair and everything that egg did and everything that that seed did coming together. It starts to bring forth a life. So he doesn't speak to you when you're in your mother. He spoke to you when you're in your father. Buried in the lineage of the man who carried and spit you out of his loins. And from your father, your grandfather, who carried your father, who spit your father out of his loins, whose great-grandfather spit out your grandfather, his father, spit you out. And so it was not by accident that you came out when you came out and or how you came out. Regardless later to how much your parents may not even be able to stand each other right now. You're trying to figure out how conception even happened if, you get the right set of parents. And you're like, how in the world did y'all even come together? You guys can't even have a conversation without yelling and breaking things. But one specific night, whatever your birth date is, whatever the date of that conception, sovereignly, God made sure that he held you so that you weren't put out in the 1700s or the 1800s, because half of y'all wouldn't have made a halfway decent slave. I would have burned down everything twice. Me. But at a specific time, he spits them out, and then he begins to have a conversation, because he spits them out in this particular time frame, and he has to open up something for Jeremiah, that your purpose, your position is not by accident. Jeremiah in verse 5, he says to him, before I even formed you in your belly, I knew thee. And this knowledge is very important, because you can't be a prophet of God or a preacher of God and not know him. And worse, him not even know you. So he speaks to him about his intimacy. He says something in Matthew when he says that there's going to be people popping up at the gate, and he's going to have to toss them, saying, depart from me, you worker of iniquity, I never knew you. The word he's talking about is intimacy. We were never intimate. We never did anything together. He was talking to him in verse 5, showing him that there will be a moment in time where those will consider a move of God based upon the physical reaction and physical interaction and engagement, period. But in verse 5, he said, your calling is not based upon your physical capability. It is not based upon your ability in any way, shape, or form. He said that this is going to be based upon knowledge. And so what happens is you will run into information you didn't even know you knew that God spoke to you about before you even had the conversation, because while you were in it, you were out of it, but you were still in it. And there are things that you're going to supernaturally know because God planted something in your spirit in verse 5 of your life before you were planted in your mother, while you were trying to be pushed out, held back within your father. There was already a knowledge of you, and you didn't need ears nor eyes. And the beauty of it, in talking about the position and the timing of the conversation, he said this is before you're in the womb. Where is the womb? The womb is situated right between pee-pee and poo-poo, physiologically speaking. So God is not intimidated by anything that you're in now or that you were in, because before you were even formed, if you were close to mess, around mess, and even when you got pushed out with a little mess, none of that has ever taken away what he knew about you when he had verse 5 conversation in your life. So the tone of verse 5 here is that there is nothing that you can do or be in that will make God change his mind about his knowledge. He knew where you were, what you were in, and what you were close to being in, and he still had a conversation. Many people are not able to do that because the more they know about you, the more they're able to judge you. So they feel like if I know too much, or if I know you and I can't handle it, then you become a topic of my conversation. But what he says to him is, regardless of what you have, even though you don't even have anything, because the boy hadn't even formulated arms because he hadn't been formed yet. You can't even reach back and give me an offering because you don't even have joints in your elbows or fingers or hands or anything. So God is not concerned about you not being as progressive as you don't think you are. I don't need you to be progressive. I'm not asking you to be progressive. I just want to know somebody that knows me. And you can always tell when somebody knows. You can tell it in how they praise and how they worship. You can even tell it in how they're quiet. My silence doesn't mean I'm not worshiping. My silence doesn't mean I'm not praising. My silence doesn't mean I'm not grateful. Sometimes my silence means I don't have to get loud in order to be effective. I can sit right in my seat. I can sit here and fold my arms. My spirit man is shouting because there's a knowledge that exceeds. He talks in verse 5 and tells him, for he came out of the womb, he said, I sanctify thee. Sanctified, apostle. So he says, I'm going to make you clean. I'm going to make you clean before me. But if you fool around with people every now and again, one person says you're not sanctified because of this. Then the next person say you're not sanctified because of that. Because many times people use sanctification or even use their idea or perception of holiness not as a lifestyle, but simply as a brand. You brand holiness, you don't live holiness. You brand holiness, you don't believe holiness. You dress holiness, you don't believe holiness. And so when he talks to Jeremiah, he has to give him a whole new list of definition. One thing is, don't base your sanctification upon the sanctification of people that don't even know me. I need you to understand that there's a sanctification that pertains to your gift, to your assignment, and to your call. And so in speaking to Jeremiah, Jeremiah gets clarity from God himself directly. It is important to have your own direct connection to God, because if you don't, there will be people that will mess you up. Prophecy can tear up folks' lives. Y'all are mad at me. If you get a word from someone that doesn't know God, and that God doesn't know, they'll have you leaving your family, they'll have you giving up your entire check, and say, so I need you to be sanctified, right? As he talks to him in the verse with Jeremiah, I need to make sure that there are some parties that will speak for me, and so he takes people that he uses down various different directions. When you look at the examples and the markers of the Bible, you don't see a perfection throughout anybody that God chooses, nor does he pick. We only can translate that into our culture that all the preachers must be perfect. But Noah wasn't perfect. David sure as heck wasn't perfect. Peter wasn't perfect. None of them were perfect. Solomon wasn't perfect. Jeremiah's call, he had to be clear. But after he sanctifies him, the most important message Jeremiah is going to get and have to deliver for all those that are so interested in platform.
Come on.
The door for Jeremiah, God's prophet, was to now have to prophesy through the cisterns. He had to have a grace upon him to prophesy to kings, but he couldn't walk through the front door of the palace. I'm going to say that again. He had the grace to prophesy to kings, but he could never go through the front door of the palace. And those of today have to be very careful about trying to get through the front door, because trying to get through the front door is what's going to end up getting you back door. So a new creative, a new method, a new way has to be created for Jeremiah to be able to deliver his tight message. And so for him to deliver it, he has to be graced to preach, but going through the sewer systems. Because the way that the palaces were set up during that time, the only way to get through the kingdom in the palace was to come up through his toilet. And so the prophets of the day many times are going to have to get in more mess than they ever had gotten in before. And so you'll see them standing in places and spaces and graces because they're called to the kingdom and to the palace. But if you're not careful, there are those that will intentionally block you out. You can keep me out of the palace, but you can't keep me out of the kingdom. So what the Lord is showing you is that there are other ways inside. And I don't know who I'm talking to here, but I need you to prophesy to 3 people closest to you and say, God's going to get you in another way. 2 more times. He's going to get you another way. Another way. You don't have to go in the way that you thought or the way that you envisioned. And sometimes the way you even dreamed it can mess you up. The dream was to tell you what was going to happen, but you may not necessarily have the interpretation of the dream. And so it is imperative not to assume that just because somebody is in the palace closer to the door, that they are your door. God will strategically cause people that you thought would be your way to break up with you, lie on you, hate your guts, cause crazy rumors to be shared concerning you, because everything in their power is to keep people like you out of the kingdom. Their job is to keep people like you out and away from the kingdom. Not because you don't have it, but because you do. So they don't want you in the position because you do have it. You have the wisdom, you have the creativity, you have the ability, you have the drive, you have the innovation, you have the right attitude. And this is why some things God never will take away from you, because you need all of you to manage everything that's a part of you. You can't be a punk in the palace. And so Jeremiah, he has to not only come through the system, but the challenge is keeping your mouth shut as a prophet to make sure that your word stays clean, even though you're in some. It's challenging to hear a message from someone, a messenger, a preacher, teacher, a prophet, anybody, and you ain't never been through. His message and his message now becomes, not only do I have to get the message upstairs, but I have to keep my mouth shut so that what I'm in doesn't become a part of what I say. Because I cannot start prophesying to people just because I'm in some stuff. So Jeremiah has to shut his mouth, make his way up through a way he's never been in, and hear God directionally as he's on his way. Verse 6, then said I, Lord God, I can't speak for I'm a child. I believe his gifts already start opening, because if God showed me that I was going to go up but I had to go through a toilet stool, I would have made some excuses too. I mean, I'm not hard on the guys in the Bible, because some of this stuff is really realistic. Like Jonah. People can say all day, or Noah rather, that this man was a drunk. But I think about this man that is in this ark all day long. His whole life is swallowed up. He has one window to look out of, and out of this window he sees bodies and people and neighborhoods that he grew up in floating away in the water. And although him and his family were being saved, this guy is being tortured. And sometimes the torture with an assignment is that even though God is using you, there's a whole other part you still don't understand. I know I'm surviving and I know I'm alive, but look at all the people that died, and it's hard to say hello to tomorrow when I'm still struggling and traumatized by the ones I said goodbye to yesterday. And so even though the window and the door was opened up for me, look at all the others that got the closed doors. This is why you must be careful with the favor on your life, because every open door for you is a closed door to somebody else. So they can't shout for you when the doors are open. They can't love you when your doors are open. They can't come to your meeting, won't fellowship with you, not because you don't have it, but the reality is everybody that comes to yours is a lesser body that comes to theirs. He must prophesy, and he must prophesy by himself, because you ain't getting no armor bearers in a toilet stool. You're not having anyone to support you in the toilet stool. You will be judged while you're in the toilet stool, because they'll start thinking you're a turd like everybody else. And when you let them know you're not with that, that's when you're going to have even a greater problem. So Jeremiah, he goes and says, God, I can't speak for I'm a child. He goes forth. He said, don't tell me you're a child. But you're going to say, watch this, all that I tell you in every place that I send you, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. So he's talking to him, and he says, what I do love about you is that you are a child. There are some things about you that are just not developed, not grown, and sometimes that's going to be your greatest asset. Your greatest asset is that you're still teachable. God, ain't nothing worse than somebody that just isn't teachable. You could spend 40 more years trying to get someplace that if you just sat and been taught, you could do it in 4 months if you were teachable. Jesus took 12 disciples because he said, I know all y'all have y'all issues, but I need to figure out which of you, issue and all, are willing to at least bare minimum be disciplined. So those of y'all may enjoy this part, let me say, you don't even have to be delivered. Just be disciplined. Discipline will make you not have to cry for deliverance that much. Because the more you grow, the more discipline you start becoming. Things you used to take easy, now you look at it different. Say, now if I hop on that, there's going to be problems. So you start now becoming disciplined. Life will discipline you. Relationships will discipline you. Divorce will discipline you. Marriage will discipline you. Children will discipline you. Parents will discipline you. Because you got to come home and take them out, and they're going to piss all over your stuff. Discipline. And so there are relational factors in the text. I got to know you. Because God doesn't just throw people out that he does not know. And you should be able to tell who God knows, because if you know him, you can tell who God knows. Anybody here know him? And I'm not talking about what you were taught or what you were told or what was shared with you. I mean, do you know him? When you know him, you don't need a drum, you don't need a musician. All you need is a moment and a memory. Just to know him. To know him. And if you really know him, you'll have a trial that will try to rob that knowledge from you, which is why he doesn't just lay the knowledge of him in speech only, but we got to be intimate. Because even if we know each other and nothing has been done between you and I, they can make you forget me because we've never done anything with our relationship. And so what he says is, this won't be physical, it'll be spiritual. So I'm going to touch you inside and watch this. No one will be able to rob the revelation that I have given you. So he talks to him. And in talking to him, when the boy talks about he can't speak, he says, not only do I know you, I know you better than you know you. You're talking to me about your speech, but do you understand that I'm the one that gave you your voice in the first place? And so every excuse that you could possibly use, you have to understand that I'm the one that gave you the excuse in the first place. And I'm also omniscient. So I knew you were going to give me this excuse in the beginning. And I also wanted to make sure that you were a child. So if you're going to stutter, if you can't hardly talk, if you have a problem with your speech, we can handle all of that. But the word will be so potent in your life that even if you can't do what you used to do, whatever you can do, I will make what you can do work. When that woman of God starts screaming, even if I can't shout like I used to shout, dance like I need to dance, there's a holler that says, I know him. And when you get somebody that fools around and knows God, you're not even worried about what was told to you, because when you know God, God will whisper to you and say, I know they said you'll be like this for the rest of your life, but when you know God, God will tell you, you give me 3 months. I wanted to shut you down, wanted to isolate you, clear your circle. You had too many people around you claiming that they loved you, but when you get broken, you find out who really loves you. When you get in trouble, you find out who's really going to be there for you. And so he says, to know, then I'm going to send you through. And then he goes on. He says in verse 8, be not afraid of their faces. Why? Because you think you got a speech problem. So if you have a speech problem, now you're going to be intimidated and you're worried about what people are going to think about your speech. And so he says, I don't want you to even look at their face, just talk. You don't have to change your voice. You don't have to sound different. Just talk. Watch. And because I know you don't like to talk, I know you won't over-talk. Many people today just over-talk. God ain't say a darn thing about what you're talking about. But when you over-talk, he said, I need to use someone that ain't trying to overtalk, trying to be nobody's prophet, because Jeremiah understood coming up through the toilet, every time I open my mouth unnecessarily, I let stuff in that doesn't belong in there. And the beauty of the text is coming up through the king's toilet. All of the sewage from all of the people that the king ministered to and that were under his reign, all that stuff was in that sewer. So everything that was in that sewer got on the preacher. A good preacher needs a little bit of stuff on them from a little bit of everybody. If you're going to be effective among people, you don't have time to be explaining, I didn't do that, I didn't say that, I don't do that. No, you got to learn how to take all of the mess with you. Because to be able to speak to kings, you got to be able to know those that are in the palace and say, guess what? I done seen everybody's mess, and me seeing and knowing everybody's mess, because not only have I been in it, it is on me, but he stands in front of the palace full of crap that wasn't even his. Wow. The beauty of God's ability to use you is going to be that regardless of what you've come through and what's on you, nothing's going to stop his ability to use you. And so it is common now to hear, this is messy. God, this is messy. The body of Christ is looking bad. If it don't look bad, it can't ever look better. The beauty is when you know it's looking bad, you know what to figure out and how to come up with a solution. And so he sends Jeremiah through the toilet. He said, because I know it's messy. Because people mess. Because I created them. And I gave them a digestive system. And I gave them their appetites. So I knew they would mess. But I also knew everybody would not be capable of knowing how to handle that situation. So Every preacher has to have somebody in their life that has nests on them that doesn't belong to them and learn how to minister through it. Jeremiah, he says in verse 9, the Lord put forth his hand and said, he touches my mouth, and the Lord said to me, behold, now I'm going to put my words in your mouth. I don't need you to be social. I don't need you to be a social butterfly. I just need to put a few words in your mouth while you still have a speech problem. So that every time you talk, people will listen. And God said, I'm getting ready to use people that don't talk so much. So that when you do, the way that you'll command the room is because they know that when you say it, it's got to be God. And so he says to him, I'm done 15 minutes and I think I should be able to go home. Verse 10, see, I have this day set thee over nations and over kingdoms. What day? The same day you told me you were a child was the same day I set you over nations. Because everybody that think they're over nations thinks they're grown. But what I need to do is raise up a child. And when he's speaking to them about this childhood, he's literally speaking about his audience. At best, the people that could follow me, they're in 4th grade. They're elementary, if I can. But what he says to him is, I don't even care about your capacity or your ability. This day, I'm telling you, you're a king. He said, your voice will be over nations. And whenever your voice is called to be over nations, you'll oftentimes be shut down within your community. Y'all quiet. Whenever God has set you up to be over nations, you always need to stop trying to focus in on just local, because it's never going to open up for you. You will have your greatest fights with local people. You will have your greatest enemies with those that are local. You will have your greatest problems with those who knew you, those that know your mess, those that know your struggle, those that think they know those that knew you. If you haven't known me in the last 5 years, then you knew me. You don't know me. And even when you thought you knew me, you still didn't know me. So when he says to him in Jeremiah, boy, this day, I'm going to set you up over a nation. This day, I'm telling you as a child, you're going to nations. And some of you have heard that word from childhood. You're going to nations. So my question to you is, if God has spoken to you about something so big, why are you trying to hang out with small people in the first place? The problem is, and the challenge is, that what you're looking for or aiming for is too small. And I don't care if they look like they're big. You got to be able to look at big people and see them as they are small. It's the same thing David did when he pulled out his rock. Regardless of how large a giant is screaming in my face about how large he is or becoming bullying, every time there's a great Goliath, there also comes a small David. You don't have to be big to make a difference, and you don't have to have big tools. All you got to do is know how to bend over and find the small pebble. Use your pebble and throw your pebble in the head of Goliath. Each and every one of you will have a Goliath experience, but you got to figure out if you're going to play David or not. He says to him, I'm a child. He says, this day, I'll set you over nations, and I'll set you over kingdoms. You don't read till later when he comes to the king's toilet stool, that when they lower him down in the cisterns, they said, we can't let a voice like this get out. I'm not going to try to go far in here, but there are some of you, there have been edicts that have gone against you. We can't let a voice like yours get out. And so they tried to hide you on purpose. And not only have they tried to hide you, some of you have tried to hide yourself. I don't see nothing. I ain't going to say nothing. And so you hid it in prayer, and your voice has become insulated and trapped. If you were here this morning, we talked a bit about Jonah. When Jonah did the most anti-prophetic thing that a prophet could do, which is close your mouth, he told Jonah. Jonah was headed on a boat in a different set of direction, totally trying to get away from his assignment. Throws him into a whale, throws him overboard. Whale picks him up and takes Jonah all the way down to the basement of the ocean. You don't want to use your voice how I told you to use it. Well, I'm going to set you in an insulated well with all types of heat and make it challenging for you to even use your voice. And I'm going to now make your whisper stronger than your regular tone. So now when you pray, because you did not pray, now when you open your mouth, every word you say is going to matter a little bit more. And the only way that I can get you to do it was to send you through something deep enough that was going to make you say yes. And so when he ships Jonah all the way down to the basement of a situation, Apostle, he takes him all the way down there, and his message and his means for taking him through is because I want to make sure that you have not forgotten your own voice. With Jeremiah, he talks to him and he says to him, I want to set you up today, and I'm going to put you over top of kings. And the boy starts prophesying for the first time. Watch this. And the king said, the reason I won't let folk kill you that should kill you is because a king always needs a prophetic voice. He tells him, verse 11. He said, you're going to this day settle the kingdoms and kingdoms, and what you're going to do, you're going to root out. What does root out mean? This means that your hands are going to get dirty. So you're going to have to pull out some things that were planted because what was planted there doesn't belong there for now. He said, so you're going to root out. And he said, and you're going to pull down. And so you can't have an assignment from God. You don't pull nothing down. He said you'll pull down. Then he said you're going to build and you're going to plant. So you don't just pull up and tear up and not replace or replenish. So if you're going to tear it up, build it up. And so many times people come and just want to tear it down and don't want to help build up anything. You ain't about to stand in and tear me down. You're going to get torn down trying to tear me down. But you got to be a builder. A great builder is a great tear downer because they want to tear it down so that they can build properly. So he said you're going to be one of those people that are not coming to criticize it, but you're coming to help build it up. And God is going to send people in your life that are not there to criticize you, but are there to help build you up. And so oftentimes we think that because it's not something we want to hear, that it's tearing us down. No, this is to help build me up. He tells him, and then the word of the Lord came to him saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? He said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Last time we see this, you got to go back in Exodus, Genesis, all that, when there was a selection being made. And there was a selection dealing with Moses. He said, whenever there's a divine selection, something that's happening, he said, I want to send you a rod of an almond tree. Watch, almonds always represent something quick or speedily happening. And so when he's speaking to him about seeing the rod of an almond tree, this particular fruit is always in a hurry to rush off the branch. And so it doesn't wait processes like others. So he says, not only am I going to give you a word, but the word is going to be an expedited word, and I'm going to let things hang off of you in seasons where others don't typically grow fruit. And so when you see the rod of the almond tree, I want you to instantly see yourself not as a child, but I want you to see yourself walking into your space faster than you ever could have imagined. I want you to begin to see houses that you didn't even build. Things hanging and dangling off of your life in your hands. And I don't want you to see it late. I want you to see it early. So he says, you got to see this thing. And when he sees it, he says, I want you to see this tree. He said, great that you saw it. I want you to hurry up and see it because I'm going to hasten my word to perform it. I know y'all getting a little sleepy, but I'm about to get ready. He said, I'm going to hurry up and I'm going to do something, and it's going to be a performance. I'm going to perform something for you because it's been a while since you have experienced a performance. And everyone that knows God needs God to perform something for them every now and again. And when God doesn't perform, you start getting anxious, anxiety, all types of craziness because you're looking for a manifestation, some sort of a performance. You could be sitting on your row, sitting in service. Some of you drove hours to be here because you need God to perform something. You need Him to perform it in your health. You need Him to perform it in your marriage. You need Him to perform it in your children. You need Him to perform it on your job. You need Him to perform it in your school. You need Him to perform it. And he said, not only do you need it, but you need God to hurry up and do it. This is God. Don't take your time. Don't delay. I'm not asking for a 2022 manifestation. I need you to hurry up and work this thing out by May. Can I get one of those 3-day specials like Jonah? Can you go ahead and hook me up since it is Palm Sunday? Can I get one of them 7-day turnarounds? And he said, I'm going to hasten my word to perform it. When Jeremiah beholds it, he said, I see the rods of the almond tree. Not only do I see it, he said, but I see it all across the kingdom. I see branches that are out of control with almonds sticking out in places they never should have stuck out in. And so Jeremiah begins to see manifestations coming to people that other folk couldn't see me come into themselves. When I look out across this audience and looking at different people, I see God getting ready to hurry up and do something. But if your response was in the right place and you knew what was hanging just over top of your head, you wouldn't be so quiet, you wouldn't be so crazy looking, because you too would start seeing the rod of the almond tree. He said, I see the rod of the almond tree. This fruit here, this fruit is going to help to create an idea that this thing has to come quickly. I need you to touch someone on your row and tell them this thing going to have to come quickly. It's going to have to come before I lose my mind. It's going to have to come before I quit. It'll have to come before it destroys this family. He said, I will hasten my word to perform it. And he goes on to say, and the word of the Lord comes to him, talking about how quick God was getting ready to do it. Jeremiah's eyes pop open and he starts seeing into kingdoms and worlds that he had never even entered into or been in before. He'll start hearing lyrics. For those of you that are musically inclined, you'll hear lyrics of the future and you'll start writing down and don't even know where it came from and from why. But when God gives you a kingdom assignment, you'll start jumping from obscurity immediately into notoriety. And when he was telling Jeremiah, this thing's going to happen faster than you could imagine it. And I just need to know, can you see it? Good God Almighty. Someone sat on your row right now and may not have even spoken to you because they were not able to see what was over your life. But a real prophet is able to look in your life and see where you're going and see what God's getting ready to do and invest in you before you see almond trees yourself. I'm getting ready to get out of here, but I want you to just touch people on your row and ask them, say, what do you see? 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 And showing him this tree, he's now expressing to him that I'm not going to take my time. I'm going to work this thing out for you. This thing is going to be an expeditious delivery. This thing is not coming in regular mail. This is coming standard overnight procedure. Everything that you've been waiting on and that you've been working on, those things that you've been laboring on, trusting God for, it may seem as if it will be another 5 years, another 10 years. But God said this thing is going to hasten. God said, I will hurry up and answer your prayers. I will hurry up and break the back of the adversary. I'll hurry up and give you a victory. By the time you praise me for it and you get back to your house, I'm going to work it out so fast. The quicker you praise me, the quicker I'll release you. The quicker you celebrate, the quicker I'll bring you out. The faster you run, the faster you'll run into your deliverance. But the problem and the reason why many can't get it is because we're looking at the trees to yield apples and oranges. But the Lord said it's almond season. You need to look for quick results. Look for quick returns. I want you to pull your neighbor like you're pulling them out of trouble. And I want you to just prophesy to them, quick returns. 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 Y'all ain't pulling them like I feel it. I want you to pull that neighbor like you're pulling them out of hell. And I want you to say, I want to prophesy to you. Quick return. Speedy recovery. Opportunities that were just closed yesterday will be open by this time tomorrow. I see a rod of almond tree. I see a rod of change. I see a rod of deliverance. I wanted to make sure that I fine-tune your vision. Because I never would have sent you through all that if I knew you couldn't see. Because you got to have eyes to see your way through some of this crap. And if somebody on your road told you what they were really dealing with, you wouldn't be able to see how I'm making it right now. Or like my mother said, she said you wouldn't be able to see it. You had no idea. I look great on the outside, but on the inside, if you had any idea what it takes just to have a vision. God, and those that never had vision don't get it. False, this ain't about being nocturnal or seeing in the dark. These prophets need to be able to see in the torch. So, God said, I sent you through it Because now you can see through some crap you never would have saw through without your last season. It won't take you 4 years to be able to see through a demon that you saw 5 minutes, and I'm going to tell you everything that's getting ready to happen. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, and I'm going to clear it all up. God said, I want to make you not just able to hear me, but some of us in traps right now because we couldn't see through them. Somebody's trying to get their credit clean because you just couldn't see through them. Someone had to take a charge because I just couldn't see through them. And here's the crazy part. I looked. I researched. He searched. She searched. And I still missed it. But God said this next season, you ain't gonna miss nothing. I need about 30 of y'all to just do a shot like this and say, I'm not missing nothing. Missing costs too much. Missing costed me too much. And I could afford to do it when I was younger, but I'm too old to miss now. So this message is, take me fast, take me where we were before the service, right there. Glory. Yeah. I'm gonna need a little of that symbol in about 30 more seconds. I just want to make sure, just give me a test run. Stay right there. So what he tells him to do in hastening his word, he said, I want to hurry up and make things fast for you. Because those that thought it would take you another 20 years, you're getting ready to lose those people. Because some are only friends with you by convenience because they only want to be friends when you're talking about what God's going to do. But God said, I'm going to do it so fast. I'll make it happen for you so quick that their stories will never be able to shift. Now I want you to do something. I want you to begin to clap your hands all over this building. Clap your hands in advance for the performance that God is getting ready to give you. I tell you a secret? While you were running, there's a healing that's happening in your body, a physical healing. Not just with breathing, but I saw the Lord touching your heart. That the Lord curtailed his hand. There's something going on, and the Lord said I needed to regulate. But the Lord said today was a day of healing for you. Y'all, I don't want to hear nobody in here being jealous. I need to hear some prayer warriors in here. Anybody that's ever known God to be a healer? Anybody that knows God to be the God of breakthrough? Anybody that knows God to be a God that is a healing God? We thank you right now, God. You don't even know what's going on. You just need to know it's going out. Stretch your hand and say, go out now. Go out now. Let's go out. Go out now. Man of God, the Lord's getting ready to open a ridiculous door for you back here in this pink shirt. The Lord said, I'm going to open a ridiculous door for you. It'll be a door of favor. And this may seem strange, but I'm going to say what the Lord's talking about. The Lord said, you have praised your way into a position of management. The Lord said, a very strange and unique position is being opened up for you. And it's going to seem very odd, even to those who may be even hearing it. But the Lord said, I had something special set up for you. And the Lord said he was already working on it last week. But how you celebrated him just today, the Lord said praise has made the decision easy. And while you were worshiping him and lifting him up, the Lord said, I was lifting that door and the opportunities up. Said the Spirit of, I feel jealousy in this room. See, if you won't praise God for you, you just got to overpraise for yourself. The Lord just told me to tell you quickly, the door is opened up for you. You can look for the results and you can look for your answer this week, said the Lord. I need 30 people in here that aren't jealous to just praise God with them. So you praise for somebody else's door. If you praise for someone else's door, new clients will start dropping on your life. I need several of y'all just jump up and say, I receive new clients right now. Take 30 seconds and give God a good praise right there. Come on and give him glory in here. Young lady in that blue dress back here in this corner. The Lord said to tell you that your warfare is over. It has been accomplished. The Lord said that the warfare is over. The Lord said to tell you that a promotion is happening for you. It is a divine promotion. You were silent at a time when you should not necessarily have been, but the Lord said, tell you, I'm getting ready to reward you. The Lord said, I'm going to pay you back myself personally. I don't even know what's happening, what's going on in your family, but the Lord said, I'm going to clear it up for you. The Lord said, I'm going to clear it up for you. The Lord said, I'm going to clear it up for you. Some of your name is going through being smeared or smurred, but this is not the first time this happened. But the Lord said, I'm going to clean up your name. The reason that it happened is because I want to use your name. Anytime God wants to use your name, you'll have a series of things that transpire intentionally on purpose to kill your name because of the influence that's supposed to be on it. But the Lord told me to rebuke you as well and tell you to never close your mouth like that again. The Lord said when you open your mouth with my words from now on. Not with your words. Because you, like Jeremiah, have been saying I'm a child. I can't, won't. But the Lord said when you open your mouth this next season, the prophetic word that was on you before you were formed in your mother's belly shall come out, said the Lord. In Jesus' name. Somebody say it in Jesus' name. Y'all ain't saying it like you know it. Say it in Jesus' name. You don't have to see it. All you gotta do is listen. Peace. Coming by here. By the word of God. Yeah, I see it. God said your feet are getting ready to tread a new territory. The Lord said new soil. When you were dancing earlier, I saw you like kicking up dirt. But the ground kept changing underneath your feet. He said, I can trust you wherever I plant you. And the Lord said, because you would praise me. The Lord said, let him know I'm getting ready to increase where he wants to go, when he wants to go, how he wants to go. Because the Lord said, you have shown me trial after trial, moment after moment. You gonna say what I said, say. And the Lord said, I'm getting ready to bless your walk like never before, said the Lord. Everything you wanna do is everything you gonna do. Lord, y'all better use that word for yourself. The Lord said everything you wanna do is everything you gonna do. I'm talking to my friends. If y'all talk to y'all on your own, tell them, say everything you wanna do. I said everything you want to do. The Lord said you gonna do it. You are gonna do it. You gonna do it. Multiple healings that are happening in your body. You're in pain even riding up here. It's all going down through your body. Pains, long rides, long drives. But your ride home won't be like your ride here. Because healing's in this house. You were getting ready? You was getting ready to happen? I dare y'all put your first name in it and just say, for me, it's getting ready to happen. I don't know about anybody else on my row, but for later on, it's getting ready to happen. Don't take me out there, just keep me right there. Because at any given moment, if somebody need a moment to celebrate what's getting ready to happen, we ain't gonna block this love. Y'all got it? Y'all ain't gonna do that.